What is going on, all of you Hedgehog fanatics out there in the world? I'm Mega Amster. Thank you for checking out this YouTube video, whether you are a new or returning viewer. Appreciate you stopping by. I apologize, I'm a little nasally. I'm still coming off of a cold here, but I did want to talk about today an upcoming game that is kind of new, is kind of not. We'll get into it a little bit, but I mean, as a Sonic fanatic, you know I had to talk about it because Sonic Cross Shadow Generations is releasing. If you have the digital deluxe version, is releasing in a week as of this video. Otherwise, it'll be releasing on Friday. That's what, the 26th, 25th, somewhere around there. But it is coming out very, very soon as of this recording. And I originally, if you saw my original reaction to this announcement, I wasn't that hot on it. But the more we've seen, the more exciting I've got. As someone who's played Generations, what, 5 times at least, owns multiple copies, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why, especially if you have played the original Generations, you might be interested in picking up yet another version, because there is quite a bit to offer here. So I'll kind of give you 5 reasons, not really in any particular order, just what you may want to consider it, whether you're a new fan or a returning fan. So let's just jump right into it. First reason here, I mean, at its core is the old content being remastered, right? At its core, this is Sonic Generations, the game you know and love from 2011. For those of you who have never played it, this is going to be a brand new experience for you. This is going to be the definitive way to play it. It involves both classic and modern Sonic. It was released for the 30th anniversary originally. 30th? 20th. Almost mixed up my numbers there. For the 20th anniversary originally, back on Xbox 360, PS3, and a 3DS version as well. This is the Xbox 360, PS3, PC version with that content where you play as both classic Sonic and modern Sonic in 2 different gameplay styles. I will say it's not the longest game, but it has a good amount of side content with little side quests you can do outside of just the regular levels. But the whole idea is it's a celebration, going back in time, essentially. The story's nothing in depth, but just an excuse for you to go back to older levels in a newer form and replay them. And that game is great. In my opinion, it's one of the best boost formula Sonic games. And it's still up there easily in my top 10, probably my top 5 Sonic games of all time. It's really, really good. Classic Sonic feels a little different than he did back in like the Genesis, but still is very fun to play as. I find these levels pretty fun. Modern Sonic, of course, flashy as ever if you played Colors, if you played Unleashed, in that same vein. I mean, even Forces technically, right? So in a lot of memorable moments, the level design's really good, the music's great, and even if you're not an old fan, you know, if you've never played this game before, or you're not a fan of, if you haven't played any other Sonic games prior to this game releasing, like, yeah, sure, you may not get some of the references, little level designs or Easter eggs, boss fights, stuff like that, but it's still a really well-made game, and honestly, I don't think you even really need to have played previous Sonic games to jump into Sonic Generations, because at its core, it is just a really solid game. So I would, even if you've never played any of the previous Sonic games, I wouldn't let that deter you from checking out this game. And this is the definitive way to play, because now you've got it in, what, 4K, 60 frames probably. I know on Series X, the 360 version's backwards compatible. They rezzed it up a little bit there. But this here is going to be the definitive way to play it. There's also some new content, which is kind of my second point here, and we'll get into here. Like, the base Generations is a great game, but number 2 reason why you might be interested here, and potential spoiler warnings, by the way, I'm going to be pulling up all these different trailers here to play in the background. The new content here, because originally when they announced that with that first trailer we were watching, I didn't really have anything to go off of. I was very cynical about it. I'm like, okay, cool, they're adding Shadow, but like, you know, I was there in Forces when they added Episode Shadow, and it was like 3 levels that lasted a combined 3 minutes, and it was very underwhelming, right? But then starting with this trailer, we get more and more into it, because, like, yeah, they're adding Shadow. Is he just going to be a skin for Sonic? What are they going to do? They showed off originally a couple levels. I mean, bringing back some old people, some old characters you've never seen before is great to see. It is in that Generation style, but the new content here is more than you would expect. The developers have confirmed the new content here is not quite as long as base game Generations, but it is close to it, which is going to be probably like a solid 5 hours of gameplay, which is decent for a side mode. It's almost like a second game in a way, considering the Generations-based game itself is already short. This is definitely the definitive package, but as you're seeing here, I mean, Shadow has his own style, he has his own levels. It's a whole separate campaign you can select from the beginning, they've confirmed, which is great. You don't have to play through the base Generations game to get into the Shadow content. It is there from the start. And it's great because not only are there you know, levels you might recognize from like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Sonic 06, where Shadow was there, and boss fights as well. But there's also just completely brand new content that we've never seen in a Sonic game before. The big highlight being the new Doom powers. So Shadow has quite a few new powers. I have no idea how this is going to work, but supposedly he's going to obtain them from Black Doom somehow, who is going to be like the big bad, of course returning from Shadow the Hedgehog, of Shadow's story here. But they introduced some new combat abilities here, which we've never really seen from Shadow. We've kind of seen Chaos Spear, and like the kicks there aren't like super new, but like the Doom Wings are brand new. The Doom Surf is going to be interesting. And what's really cool is not only are we getting levels like Radical Highway, Bullet Station, Kingdom Valley playable with Shadow specifically with these new powers, but there's going to be a hub world that you access the levels from that is going to be similar to something like an open zone in Sonic Frontiers. So in that way, it's kind of an amalgamation of everything here. Other new content, there is new content, I believe, for the base Generations game, which I think involves something with Chow. I'm not fully sure on the details, but there's some like Chow search mini game maybe or something. You'd have to look into more details about that. I haven't really looked too much into it. I'm really focused on the new Shadow content, as you could probably tell. It seems like there's going to be quite a bit of it. I was very cynical at first when they first announced this game, because I'm like, how much new content is there actually going to be? But it seems like there's going to be quite a bit. For what we can tell, each level is going to have 2 different acts. There's going to be multiple boss fights we know about already, multiple levels. The whole open zone itself is going to be way more in-depth than the hub world we saw in the base Generations, which was just a static 2D screen, and you just do some mild platforming that was kind of annoying, to be honest. Here, it's going to be fully explorable and more of like a Sonic Frontier style gameplay, which is great. I love that they're kind of combining that aspect into it. That's super duper cool. So yeah, plenty of new content here for people who, especially like me, who have played the original Generations. There's a lot new on the table, a lot more than I was originally anticipating. So definitely a big reason why you'd want to be considering getting this version. Now, number 3 is kind of an amalgamation of 1 and 2, which is just the fact that this is a celebration of pretty much everything Sonic. Because when the original Sonic Generations came out, I mean, yes, that was also kind of a celebration of everything Sonic up to that point. Minus like Sonic Boom now, I guess, because that's not even being considered. This really is an ultimate celebration, right? This is the year of Shadow. They're hyping up with this game. They had the Dark Beginnings animations leading up to this. Shadow is going to be supposedly the primary antagonist of Sonic Movie 3, which is coming out in just a couple months as this recording. So they are really hyping up and celebrating Shadow, who is a fan favorite character, with all this new content here, getting some Frontiers representation in there with the hub zone, and expanding on Shadow's backstory. Because another thing I was wondering about was like, okay, well, you know, in the Dark Beginnings animation, we have some characters show up like Gerald and Maria, right? Shadow's always mentioned Maria, like, and that's part of his backstory and part of his inspiration in terms of becoming a hero, or an anti-hero, if you will. But like, how much are they actually going to put in the game? Now we've seen some cutscenes that make me think otherwise. Like, they could actually, some of these characters we haven't seen in a while could actually have is the highlight, take that with a grain of salt, could potentially have a lot of a big role in this game, in this side mode to this game. I'm really calling it a separate game because it seems like it's going to be almost a game's worth of content here, which is great to see. And just like getting a celebration like Metal Overlord, you know, getting them back, getting Black Doom back. No one ever thought Black Doom was going to come back. I'll refrain from saying some others in case to avoid some spoilers there. But like, this really is an amalgamation, a celebration of everything Sonic up to this point, and celebrating Shadow as a character, acknowledging pretty much all facets of his backstory. I figured they would have completely disregarded Black Doom and all that, but that is at the forefront here. And, you know, of course, it's definitely marketing leading up to Sonic Movie 3, but like the fact that they are going this in-depth with it is really, really cool. As a Sonic fan who actually kind of enjoys moments of Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 and of course Sonic Adventure 2, this is super cool to see. I don't know. I love it. I love that they're actually acknowledging this part of the fandom and going hard with it. So that's kind of the number 3 reason, just kind of it's an amalgamation of everything. It's really a celebration of Shadow as a character and the whole series when you take the whole package together. Number 4 reason you might want to get it is less so about the game itself and more the surrounding stuff, but that is all the physical goodies that come with it. Because as you'll see here, if I go back to the end of the trailer here, there was a lot of stuff you can get. Now, the Digital Deluxe version I'm a little miffed about. But for example, the physical version, which is the one I'm getting, comes with this 28-page recreation of Gerald Robotnik's journal. That's such a cool, it's a pre-order bonus to be fair, that's such a cool thing to have. As a Sonic nerd, I'm so into that. Versatile cover's nice. The Sonic Adventure skin comes with both, that's great. which is kind of a full circle moment for those of you who may or may not know. Dreamcast Sonic was discussed about being in the original generations. Plans fell through because Sega, of course, didn't want to pay Ryan Drummond enough money to voice act, but you know what? That's beyond the point of this video. The digital deluxe version is interesting. It's kind of annoying because they lock stuff like the additional shadow level behind that. That is going to be apparently, but I'm not too upset about that. It's based on the intro to Sonic Movie 3, apparently. So if you want to tease into Sonic Movie 3, digital deluxe version's there. Also, you get the Terrio skin, which was a beta design for Shadow. More background music, which is pretty cool. And you get to play it a few days earlier. Like I said, 1 week as of this recording is if you have the digital deluxe version, you'll be able to play Sonic Cross Shadow Generations a few days before everybody else who doesn't get this version. So there's just a lot of little extra goodies surrounding this game. There's the whole limited run games collector's edition. That is really a huge thing. They had some cool statues, like a Dreamcast game case for it. It was tempting. It was a little too much money for me. I didn't want to spend that much money on that. I already have a Sonic statue now with the Sonic Adventure 1 statue, but like it's a really cool offering for people who do want it. Yeah, there's a lot surrounding this game. There's a lot of hype. There's also, like I said, the animations going into it. So although it's not really in the game itself, I mean, some of it unlocks content for the game. They're just, the fact that Sega is acknowledging Shadow this much, this hasn't happened in so long. When's the last time we've gotten this much Shadow? I would argue Sonic 06. You know, like, yeah, he was in Sonic Boom. Yeah, he was in a couple other games, very minor roles, and yeah, barely in Forces. But like, this is the most they've acknowledged Shadow in a very, very long time. And it's great to see, because there are a lot of Shadow fans out there. A lot of people jumped in with Sonic Adventure 2, and there are a lot of fans out there. Between the movie and this game, they're really going in on the Shadow lore. So it's great to see that, and celebrating with a bunch of little extra goodies outside of the game itself. So just a little reward for getting the game. But I mean, the game itself is going to be great too. So number 4 reason why you might consider this game. And the number 5 reason, as I tend to kind of put as the number 5 reason for a lot of these storied franchises getting a new entry, especially a remaster like this, right, is the legacy, the potential for the future. What does this mean for the future of Sonic? I think, I mean, granted, this is just a celebration game, right? This is a remaster of a game that was originally for the 20th anniversary. Now this is being celebrated with extra content for, you know, it was a hype up the movie as well, right? But they didn't need to go as all out as they are. And it makes me think, not that like Black Doom's gonna become a mainstay in Sonic or something like that. Like, no way. This is just a reason to bring it back, and it's an excuse to bring back a bunch of familiar characters and levels, environments for this anniversary-style game. It fits in with the rest of Sonic Generations, right? But I do think this means we are going to see a lot more Shadow in the future. Sega knows Shadow's a fan-favorite character. They had just been scared of making Shadow playable for the longest time, starting with like Sonic Colors era, Sonic Unleashed era, and then going from there. But it really seems like they're coming back full circle, and not even just Shadow, like all of Sonic's kind of general main cast with friends and stuff. I mean, we've seen it with the Sonic Frontiers DLC. We saw it with Sonic Superstars. Like, Sonic Team has become more willing to experiment with some of those characters that, for the most part, for the last decade, have been relegated to just the comics, which is, it's really great to see that. So I think, like, granted, take it with a grain of salt because this is a celebration game, right? It's just an excuse to bring back a lot of stuff from the past to fit in with the theme of this game and to promote Shadow going into movie 3. But I think this could have potential implications for the future of Sonic. I hope this means if we get a Frontier sequel, and this is what I'm really hoping for, I really hope Shadow's a playable character in a Frontier-style game, because I think, like we're seeing here with Shadow's different abilities, with the Doom powers, the Chaos Control, like, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff you could do with Shadow in that gameplay format. So I feel like not only does this have the potential for Shadow to be more relevant in future Sonic games, which I think fans totally want, but also, you know, for even more side characters to show up. Like, maybe we'll get Team Dark again, we'll get Rouge and Omega again, maybe we'll get Team Chaotix, you know what I mean? I think with games like this and the last couple previous games, like, Sonic Team has been showing more interest in some of the side characters. You know, I mean, Shadow's one of the most popular ones, so that's a whole other thing, but I think this bodes well for the future, you know, and based on what we're seeing here, it seems like, you know, Sonic Team is kind of familiarizing themselves again with a game that fans seem to pretty much critically acclaim, being Sonic Generations, and hopefully they'll have good good omens in store for the future based on that, you know? This game, yeah, you can just brush it off as a remaster. That is totally fair. That's what I was thinking when it was first announced, because me being cynical, I didn't want to get my hopes up. But after all the trailers we've seen with all the new content they're adding, this is a significant game, and I don't think that should be disregarded. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. So just 5 reasons why maybe you'd be interested, especially if you're like me and have played this game so many times before, why you might be interested in specifically this version, because there is a lot of new stuff being added while also respecting Shadow's legacy and the legacy of the original Sonic generations. But just to recap, there's the physical version, there's the standard deluxe digital version, this is the digital deluxe version, there's the collector's version via limited run games. It's probably sold out now though, I have no idea, I haven't kept up with that. I believe the physical is $50, and then the digital versions are the digital deluxe I think is $60, and then the collector's edition, like I said, I have no idea, I don't know that price, maybe like 150, 200, I have no idea. But honestly, not too bad of a buy-in, especially considering how significant this extra content with Shadow is going to be. So with that is going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you picking this up day one? Are you going to wait a little bit? Which version are you getting, physical or digital deluxe? The limited run games collector's edition? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And are you excited to see Shadow actually get more of a spotlight in the games again for the first time in a while? But with that, thank you again so much for watching. I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, stay edgy.